I'm standing in my parents' dining room in Virginia, and my Columbia Law degree suddenly feels stupidly heavy in my hand. I thought it would be my ticket to their approval. But now? It's just a thick piece of paper. My other hand goes straight to my stomach, 7 months along, and the secret is over. Dad's face twists up when he spots the bump. I've never seen him look at me like this. Not in 31 years. "You're a disgrace," he spits out, every word landing like a slap. "Get out." Mom's nails dig into her chair. "You made your bed, Alana. Sleep in it." She doesn't even bother to fake a little warmth. I swallow hard. This was supposed to be my graduation dinner. A celebration. But in less than 5 minutes, it's turned into my exile. I try to speak, to explain about Julian. "There's nothing to explain," Dad snaps, fiddling with his tie like I've somehow messed it up just by existing. "Do you have any idea what this will do to our standing in town? What people will say?" He's counting, I notice. 2. He mutters under his breath. Mom chimes in, her voice tight. "We've given you everything. The best schools, every opportunity. Most women would kill for what you've had. And this is how you repay us?" I try again. "Julian and I are engaged. The baby, Pastor Harris, just asked me to head the Family Values Committee." Dad interrupts, his face getting red. Can you imagine if he found out my own daughter was— He can't even finish the sentence. Mom glances at the window like the neighbors might be watching. "The garden club is meeting here next week. What am I supposed to tell Beatrice Sterling? Or Carol Jacobs from church? They never once ask about Julian. Or how I feel. All they see is a threat to their perfect image." Dad points at my stomach. "You are not welcome in this house while carrying that mistake." Somewhere in the back of my mind, an old memory unlocks. I was 17. I just won an art scholarship for a summer in New York. When I showed Dad the letter, he smiled, but it never reached his eyes. "Art is a hobby, Alana, not a future. The Lockwoods always put family reputation first. You're going to business leadership camp instead." I nodded, buried my disappointment, tucked my sketches away. I kept doing it, giving up what I loved, hoping for his approval. Boyfriends never made it past Thanksgiving. They aren't quite what we had in mind, I'd say, never letting on I was afraid he'd find them lacking. Even Julian, Harvard grad, good family, I kept secret for 6 years. Every move, every win, measured against Dad's impossible standards. And still I never measured up. My hands are shaking, but my voice is steady. "They didn't even ask who the father was," I whisper. "If they had, maybe things would be different." Dad checks his watch. My time's up. Mom starts straightening forks that don't need straightening. "I'll get my things," I say, barely above a whisper. Upstairs, I pack like a robot. Through the floor, I hear their silverware clinking as they go on with dinner. 5 minutes and 31 years gone. On the wall, family photos stare down at me. Country club, Dad's firm, Mom's charity gala. Perfect clothes, perfect smiles. Not one shot shows us as we really are. I stop at the photo from my law school acceptance. Dad's hand on my shoulder looks proud enough, but I remember how his fingers dug in. "Don't waste this opportunity like you almost did with that art nonsense," he whispered. I tucked my dreams away again. Downstairs, Mom doesn't even look up from her roast chicken. Dad hides behind his newspaper. I set my framed law degree on the table, a final offering to their altar of appearances. "Goodbye," I say. I might as well say it to the walls. I step onto the porch. The door closes behind me with a quiet click, no slam, just that soft, final sound. I press my hand to my belly. There's a flutter. "It's just us now," I whisper, pulling out my phone to call Julian. For the first time, I've disappointed my parents in a way that can't be fixed with medals or apologies. But under all the hurt, something else stirs. Relief. It's like I've been holding my breath for 31 years, and finally, I can breathe. Later, in the scratchy sheets of a hotel bed, I cradle my phone, tears blurring Julian's name. My fingers tremble as I hit call. Every ring pounds in my chest. "Alana? What happened?" Julian's voice is like a warm blanket. "They threw me out," I say, barely above a whisper. "I still can't believe it. They didn't even ask who the father was. Didn't ask a single thing about you. I'm coming to get you. Right now," he says. No, I just need my phone buzzes. Hold on. I put him on speaker, open Facebook. Right at the top, there it is, Mother's post. Please keep our Alana in your prayers. Sometimes the brightest minds struggle with the heaviest burdens. We're devastated by her breakdown, but trust God's plan for healing. The room tips sideways. Julian, they're telling everyone I had a breakdown. Before he can answer, my phone buzzes again. Aunt Lydia's voice crackles through voicemail. Alana, honey, your parents are devastated by your choices. They've loved you so completely. How could you hurt them this way? Pastor Harris is planning your intervention. Call them, sweetie. Make this right. I sink to the floor, clutching my phone. They're rewriting everything I tell Julian, voice flat. They're making up their own story. Now I'm unstable instead of pregnant and engaged. There's more, he says, and I hear the strain in his voice. Dad, just got a call from someone at Sterling and Clark. Your father contacted the senior partners. He told them the family has concerns about your stability. Said they're reconsidering your job offer. Suddenly I can't breathe. Richard Lockwood, 35 years building his name in Virginia business. Now he's using those connections to shut every door before I can even knock. He wants me desperate, I say. My voice is too calm. If I can't work, I'll need their money. Mother's using the court of public opinion, and he's pulling financial strings. Alana. We're not playing their game, Julian says. My father wants to talk to you. I hear movement, then Thomas Sterling's deep, steady voice. Alana, you're family now. You understand? We protect our family. Something inside me shifts, like the ground moving under my feet. I stand up and wipe my tears away. This isn't about shame, I tell him. It's about control. Exactly, Thomas says. I've already sent a car for you. Pack your things. I couldn't impose nonsense. Eleanor is preparing the East Suite. Chloe's bouncing off the walls to see you. Our family lawyer will call your firm first thing tomorrow. You are our priority. I hang up, call Julian back. My mind is racing, thinking through every option, analyzing outcomes, just like law school taught me. I'll accept your father's help. You don't sound like you've been crying anymore, Julian says. I haven't. Something changed when I heard his dad's voice, like I finally saw the whole chessboard instead of just one piece. 2 hours later, the Sterling driver takes my single suitcase, and we glide through iron gates, up a winding drive under old oak trees. The mansion rises up, tall columns, 16 bedrooms, windows glowing gold in the dusk. Thomas Sterling is waiting out front, silver hair, straight posture. He opens my door himself, not the driver. Welcome home, sweetheart, he says, and helps me out with a kindness my own father never showed. Eleanor stands in the doorway, eyes warm. The suite is ready whenever you want to rest. Take your time. Chloe can't wait. She barrels right into me, arms thrown around my waist. I'm going to be an aunt. This is the best news ever. Their kindness washes over me, every word, every gentle touch, also different from the cold rejection hours ago. But underneath the gratitude, there's this emptiness, spreading out. These people, almost strangers, even after 6 years with Julian, are giving me what my own family wouldn't, real acceptance. Inside, under the high ceilings of the foyer, Julian waits, hands behind his back. He drops to one knee, opens a small box. An emerald ring sparkles in antique gold. It was my grandmother's, he says. Dad had it sized for you last month when I told him our plans. The ring fits perfectly. The Sterlings were ready to welcome me while my own parents were busy locking the door. Later, I stand in the guest suite, bigger than my old bedroom, looking out at moonlit gardens. The victory feels hollow and bittersweet. I've found home, but not with the people who raised me. My phone buzzes, another post from Mother. Richard and I thank you for your support during this difficult time. Family is everything. We pray Alana returns to us soon. I turn off my phone. One hand on my belly, the other on the emerald ring. We have a family, I whisper to my child. Just not the one I expected. Sunlight pours through curtains I don't recognize. For a second, I'm lost until my hand drifts to the small curve of my belly. 3 days at the Sterling estate, and part of me still thinks I'll open my eyes to my old room, posters on the walls, the familiar creak in the floorboards. Instead, I'm wrapped in soft blues and creams, Everything here touched by Eleanor's care. My phone buzzes. Another text from Mom. We're praying for your return to reason. The pastor mentioned wayward children in his sermon yesterday. Everyone's concerned. I leave the message unread. The scent of coffee and cinnamon pulls me from bed. In the kitchen, Eleanor stands at the island, morning sunlight tangled in her silver hair. There she is, she says, sliding a plate of cinnamon toast toward me. Sleep well, dear? Before I can answer, my phone lights up again. Dad, fourth call today. I silence it, but Eleanor sees. They know where you are, I say, the toast suddenly dry in my mouth. Eleanor covers my hand with hers. Let them know. This isn't a secret to be ashamed of. Her eyes crinkle just like Julian's. You're carrying our grandchild, too. Something about her calm, matter-of-fact kindness cracks through my defenses. They're telling everyone I had a breakdown, I admit. Mom called the garden club yesterday, made a whole scene. Someone's been calling the firm, anonymous complaints about my character issues. Eleanor's face hardens. Richard always did like manipulation more than honest conversation. I blink. You know my father? She sighs. Thomas and Richard have crossed paths for years, business stuff. Yesterday, your father threatened one of our project managers, said he'd lose his job if he didn't give up your new address. That tight, familiar knot forms in my stomach. But there's something else this time, sharper. Anger. I need to document everything, I say, lawyer mode kicking in. Every call, every text, every time he tries to mess with my job. Eleanor squeezes my hand. Smart girl. Protect yourself first. Later, I sit cross-legged on the window seat, laptop balanced on my knees. I put together a timeline, every manipulative text, every missed call, every time Thomas updates me about Dad's interference. Dates, times, witnesses. 6 years of law school, finally being used for something that matters to me, not just to make Richard Lockwood proud. Thomas finds me still typing when he comes back from the office. Alana, he says, knocking gently. We have company. The hollow feeling in my stomach tells me who's here before he says another word. Downstairs, my parents stand in the grand foyer like they're inspecting a museum. Mom's cream suit is flawless. Dad stands straight as a ruler, gaze sweeping over the portraits and spiral staircase, already sizing up the place. Alana, Mom says, arms outstretched for a hug she knows I won't give. We've been so worried. Dad skips the act. What exactly do you think you're doing here? The same voice that used to make me scramble for his approval. Thomas's voice cuts in, calm but firm. Richard. Victoria. I wasn't aware we had a meeting today. Dad's joy tightens. This is a family matter, Thomas. Thomas moves to stand beside me. Indeed it is. That's why we're involved. Eleanor appears at my other side, her shoulder brushing mine. You've turned our daughter against us, Mom accuses, her voice dripping with concern. I keep my voice steady. You rejected me. They welcomed me. Dad's glare sharpens. This rebellious phase has gone on long enough. You're coming home, so we can discuss this privately. There's nothing to discuss, I say. You made your position clear when you threw me out. We were shocked, Mom says, her eyes flicking to Thomas and Eleanor like she's pleading her case. You can't expect parents to just accept this kind of news. You didn't even ask who the father was, I say. 7 months pregnant, and you never once asked. Mom falters, just for a moment, but Dad keeps pushing. And now you've mixed yourself up with the Sterlings. How convenient. Thomas steps forward. Alana is under our protection now, Richard. As our future daughter-in-law and the mother of our grandchild, she has our full support. For the first time, Dad looks uncertain. Future daughter-in-law? Yes, Julian says, suddenly in the doorway. He walks straight to me, his hand finding mine. We're getting married. I would have told you if you'd just let Alana speak. For a second, my mother's perfect mask slips. Julian Sterling? But you never mentioned, would it have mattered? I ask. If you'd known the father was a Sterling, would you have reacted any differently? Silence. That says more than any answer. My father recovers fast, ready to negotiate. Thomas, let's be reasonable. Our companies have interests at stake here. Thomas's smile is ice. Richard, your position with Sterling Industries is secure. But don't meddle in my family. I watch my father's confidence drain away, calculation creeping in. Suddenly, I see him for what he is, not the all-knowing patriarch I spent over 3 decades trying to please, but just a man with power only when everyone else lets him have it. My mother senses the shift. Her eyes flick between Thomas and my father, suddenly not so sure who holds the upper hand. She tries again, softer this time. Maybe we went about this wrong. We just want what's best for Alana. No, I say, quiet but firm. You want what's best for your image. I rest my hand on my belly. I'm building a real family now. Later, after they leave, Chloe throws together a little engagement party in the Sterling garden. Fairy lights tangle in the old oaks, the air thick with jasmine and this wild sense of possibility. First day of the rest of your life, Chloe whispers, fixing the flower crown on my head. Eleanor hands me a pile of maternity clothes we picked up that morning. For the first time, my future feels real, solid, right there in my hands. Thomas tells me my job at the firm is safe, nobody cares about the rumors. I save every message, every threat, every twist of manipulation, backed up in the cloud, just in case. Julian leans in the doorway. The wedding planner called. Small ceremony, just like you wanted. I nod, saving my file. The sooner, the better. 3 days later, there's a gentle knock at the door. Thomas stands there, serious. Pastor Harris is in the living room. With your parents. My stomach knots. An intervention. Thomas nods. Eleanor hovers, finger near the security button. Say the word and I'll have them escorted out. But something feels different this time. The documentation, the Sterlings backing me up, finally seeing my parents' games for what they are, it all comes together into something steelier inside me. No, I say, standing up. I'll talk to them. Julian falls in beside me as we head downstairs. A few weeks ago, my parents' disappointment would have crushed me. Now, every step feels like taking my life back. Pastor Harris stands when I walk in, flanked by my parents like he's some sort of mediator. My mother's eyes are red, but I know the performance now. My father doesn't even look at me, he's watching Thomas, hoping for an angle. I squeeze Julian's hand. It's time they hear my truth, I whisper, and step forward. I rise from the old sofa, Pastor Harris awkward between my parents. My hands are steady. 5 days here have turned all my confusion into something sharp and sure. Pastor Harris, I say, looking straight at him, not them. I appreciate your concern, but there are a few things you need to know. My voice is crisp, the kind I use in court. My parents cut me off before they even knew I'm engaged to Julian Sterling. The pastor blinks, glancing from me to my father, whose face is going red. That's the first real reaction I've seen since they arrived. And for the record, I go on, I'm pregnant from a committed 6-year relationship. Not some mistake like they've told you. Eleanor and Thomas stand behind me, silent and solid. I feel their support at my back. What my parents have done is classic emotional manipulation. I open my notepad, every call, every text, every rumor they spread, all right there. They've contacted my law firm to question my character. Told the family I had a breakdown. Even set up this intervention not to help me, but to protect their image. My father leans forward, desperate. We just want what's best for you, Alana. Can't you see that? My mother clings to the pastor's arm, tears appearing right on cue. We needed a minute to take it all in. You just dropped this on us out of nowhere. I watch Pastor Harris's face as he tries to make sense of everything. His eyes land on my mother's hand gripping his sleeve, then flick over to my father, who sits stiff as a board. If you really wanted what was best for me, I say, keeping my voice steady, you wouldn't have kicked me out without even asking about the father of my child or what I plan to do next. Father's jaw clenches. This isn't the place for family drama. I'm calling Marcus Vance at your firm on Monday. Let's see how thrilled they're about a new associate with your complications. Thomas steps in, a little smile at the corners of his mouth. Actually, Richard, I had lunch with Marcus yesterday. He's thrilled about Alana and Julian's engagement. The firm's behind them all the way. Father goes pale. Mother's tears dry up, then reappear in full force when she notices Pastor Harris watching. Suddenly, her performance is so transparent it almost hurts to look at her. Pastor Harris clears his throat. Mrs. Lockwood. Mr. Lockwood. You didn't mention your daughter was engaged. He sounds disappointed. Or that the father was Julian Sterling. Does that even matter? Father snaps. The situation's inappropriate, period. The pastor sits up straighter. Actually, it matters a lot. You told me this was about a young woman making reckless choices who needed the church's guidance. That's not what's happening here. He turns to me. Miss Lockwood, Alana, I'm sorry. The church should be supporting you, not judging. Mother twists her fingers in her lap. Pastor, surely you understand our position in the community. He looks at her gently. What I understand is that I've been brought into something very different from what I was told. Thomas, calm as ever, steps forward. Pastor Harris, can I get you some coffee? You've had a long drive. That would be lovely, thank you, the pastor says, looking grateful for the normalcy. While Thomas heads to the kitchen, Eleanor picks up a small envelope from the side table. While he's getting the coffee, maybe you'd like to see our grandchild. She offers him the ultrasound photos, tiny, perfect. Pastor Harris's lined face softens as he studies them. Beautiful. Truly a blessing. Julian comes over and puts his arm around my waist, easy and natural. Alana and I have been together 6 years, Pastor. We met during our first week at Harvard and never looked back. The baby surprised us, but we've been building a life together for a long time. Chloe, Julian's sister, brings over a folder. We just finished the engagement announcement for the town paper. Maybe you'd like to see it? Everyone's response is so coordinated, but I don't feel stiff or defensive. For once, I don't need the rigid control I learned growing up in my parents' house. It's a quieter strength now, something that comes from being surrounded by real support. Mother can't take her eyes off the ultrasound photo in Pastor Harris's hand. For a second, her face changes, not the calculated expression she's been wearing, but something real. I see, for just a moment, the grandmother she could have been if she'd let love matter more than reputation. Father's oblivious. He's still sizing up Thomas, trying to regain control and realizing he can't. Richard, Mother murmurs, touching his arm. Maybe we should listen. He jerks his head toward her, eyes full of hurt. There's nothing to listen to. We're leaving. But Mother doesn't budge. She just looks at the ultrasound. Is it a boy or a girl? She asks softly. Father stands up so fast his chair scrapes the floor. Victoria. She flinches, but stays seated. Just a moment, Richard. It's the first time I've seen her go against him, even a little. The first crack in their united front. He stares at her, cold and stunned, then turns and walks out alone. The front door shuts with a sharp click. Mother sits perfectly still, caught between the husband she's always followed and the grandchild she obviously wants to know. Pastor Harris hands the ultrasound photo back to Eleanor and nods. Maybe, he says gently, this is a time for building bridges, not walls. I watch Mother's face as it sinks in that the story she and Father tried to spin has fallen apart. Their version doesn't control anything now. The community they worked so hard to impress will hear the truth soon, not through angry gossip, but in a simple engagement announcement and in the quiet dignity the Sterlings showed through all this. It's a girl, I say. My voice is steady, not warm or cold, just honest. I hand her the truth, and it's hers to accept or turn away from. Mother looks up at me, and for once, she doesn't know what to say. For the first time, I look at her and honestly have no idea what she'll do next. And for once, it's not on me to fix it. I keep staring at the letter in my hands, Richard Lockwood's law firm name stamped right at the top. Apparently, now there's a demand for a family meeting before my wedding. My stomach knots up. 5 weeks ago, they threw me out of their house. Now they want to negotiate? Your father's lawyer called again. Thomas Sterling sits across from me, calm voice, sharp eyes. They're threatening to sue for grandparent rights. I run my finger over the raised letters on the page. Mother's been calling every relative she can think of. Aunt Lydia called me yesterday, crying, begging me to make up with my parents before the baby comes. And now, Julian adds from the window, half the family is blowing up your phone. All with the same message. Eleanor walks in with a tray of tea and sets it down, gentle and steady, nothing like Victoria's performances of motherhood. They want mediation, Thomas says, and even his mouth draws tight at the word. Before the wedding. I take the cup Eleanor hands me, breathe in the chamomile. 2 days, just 2 days until I marry Julian in the Sterling's garden. 2 days until I finally join a family that actually chose me. Desperate, Eleanor says, her hand warm on my shoulder. They've lost control ever since Pastor Harris called them out. I think about the threats in that letter. The hints they'll try to stop the ceremony. The digs that the Sterlings stole me from my rightful family. Richard's lawyer even called my new colleagues, spreading rumors I'm unstable because I'm pregnant. Some small piece of me still whispers, peace would be easier. For the baby. For quiet. The old part of me still wants their approval. But then I look at the Sterlings, Thomas, steady as a rock. Eleanor, all warmth and kindness. Julian, completely in my corner. And suddenly, I see it clearly. Setting boundaries isn't punishment, I say, putting down my cup. It's protection. Thomas nods, almost smiling. What if we invite them here? On our turf, he says. Eleanor suggests a dinner. We'll host. Home advantage. My brain shifts into gear. I'll write up a statement, just facts, no feelings. And we'll still get married in 2 days, Julian says, moving behind me. No matter what. I reach for his hand, hold tight. Let's do it. That night, Eleanor sends them a formal dinner invitation. They respond within the hour, of course they'll come. Their eagerness just shows how desperate they are. When they arrive the next evening, I watch from the library as Thomas greets them. My father's Bentley looks small in the big Sterling driveway. Mother's in her best church luncheon outfit, cream silk and pearls. Father's suit is perfect, military straight. They look impressive until they step inside. The high ceilings, the old money everywhere, it all makes their heirs seem small. They can barely hide their discomfort. Thomas leads them in, making small talk about the weather. Eleanor welcomes them with that warm, even tone that softens any edge. Mother tries to match it, but there's calculation behind her smile. Julian and I come in last. The baby bump is obvious now, stretching my navy dress. Father looks away from it. Mother stares a little too long. Richard. Victoria. I greet them as evenly as I can. Thanks for coming. We sit. Eleanor's best china glitters under the lights. Staff who've known the Sterlings forever bring out the first course. It's nothing like our old family dinners, where Mother insisted on serving herself to prove she could. The difference is glaring. After the soup bowls disappear, I set my napkin down and look my father in the eye. I've prepared a statement about our values, I say, my voice steady. But first, a question. Father shifts, already uneasy with me steering the conversation. When did you decide to throw me out? Before or after you found out who the father was? The blood drains from his face. He says nothing. I don't know what you mean, Mother tries, but it falls flat. When Alana told you she was engaged to Julian Sterling, Thomas asks, his tone calm and even. You never asked. You only saw a pregnant, unmarried daughter, a threat to your reputation. It's not about her starting a life with someone from one of Virginia's oldest families. My father's jaw clenches. That's not, but it is. Eleanor cuts in, her voice soft but firm. You turned your back on your daughter and grandchild because you cared more about church gossip than the truth. We couldn't believe it. My mother tries to recover. We just needed time. Time for rumors about my mental health? I shoot back. Time to call my law firm? Or maybe time for Pastor Harris to corner me. My father taps the table, tense. This isn't over, he warns, his old threat showing up again. We have rights? Thomas stays calm, his words careful. Your position at Sterling Industries is safe, as long as you stay away from Alana. My mother's eyes fill with tears I've learned not to believe. We have grandparent rights, she whispers. The courts, I don't let her finish. Now my law degree feels like armor. They only grant visitation if there's a real, ongoing relationship. You cut us off, and I kept records, every call, every text, every guilt trip. I lean in. I'm your daughter, but I'm also a Columbia lawyer. Don't threaten me with laws you don't understand. My parents' faces collapse, not with regret, but because they realize they've lost. This dinner's done, Thomas says, getting up. I'll see you out. As Thomas walks them to the door, I watch my father's pale, tense face. My mother glances back, tears running down her cheeks. Maybe for once, they're real. I don't feel sad, just clean, like a wound finally closed. The Sterlings close in around me once the door shuts. Eleanor hugs my waist. Julian's hand finds mine. This is my family. The family I chose. The family that chose me. They showed me exactly what kind of parent I'll never become, I say quietly, resting my hand on my belly. In 2 days, I'll marry Julian in the Sterling garden. 2 months from now, we'll bring our daughter home, a real home, built on love, not appearances. Some boundaries have to hold. Some endings clear the way for something better. 2 months later, I'm standing in the Sterling dining room, sunlight pouring through the windows. My Columbia Law degree hangs in Thomas's study, his idea, not mine. The silk dress I wore that awful night at my parents' house now hangs in my closet, a relic from another life. Thomas lifts his glass of sparkling cider, the bubbles catching the light. To our daughter and grandchild, he says, voice steady and warm. Around the table, faces I love smile back. Eleanor dabs at her eyes. I never thought I'd be this lucky, she whispers, reaching for my hand. My phone buzzes. My parents' number flashes on the screen, the 3rd time this week. I swipe to decline. No panic. No urge to pick up. Just peace. Everything okay? Julian asks, touching my back. Perfect, I say, and I mean it. For weeks ago, Julian and I got married in the Sterling garden. It wasn't fancy roses climbing white trellises, a string quartet playing Bach, 40 guests who actually cared. My ivory dress showed my 8-month belly, and I didn't care. Julian never looked away as we exchanged vows under the Virginia sky. Later, I wrote in my journal, love doesn't require earning. For words, 31 years in the making. My law career started with a confidence I didn't expect. My parents' judgment doesn't follow me into court or client meetings. Instead, I walk in with the quiet certainty that comes from a family built on respect and choice, not duty. The nursery's coming together thanks to Eleanor, soft yellow walls, a rocking chair by the window. She never pushes, just offers ideas I can take or leave. My mother would have changed everything without asking. I told Dr. Bennett that during therapy last week. Our sessions, once a lifeline, are now a place where old wounds start to heal. And how does Eleanor's approach make you feel? She asked. Like I matter, I said. The baby shower surprised me. There were tears, good ones, as Madeline from work, my college roommate Sarah, Julian's sister Chloe, all gathered around. Chosen family, filling the space my parents left behind. Just yesterday, a junior associate peeked into my office, twisting her hands. My father wants me to switch to corporate law, she said. Family law isn't prestigious enough, he says. I motioned for her to sit. Family is who stands beside you when it's hardest, I told her, sharing not as a victim, but as someone who survived. Her eyes widened. She understood. Now I'm standing on the Sterling porch at sunset, just watching Julian hold our sleeping daughter. Lily Eleanor Sterling, she came into the world 3 days ago, loud and new, with 10 tiny fingers that grabbed right onto my heart. There's a letter, Julian says softly, nodding at the side table. I spot my mother's handwriting on the cream envelope. I open it slowly. Victoria, my mother, she's asking for another chance, wants to meet her granddaughter. She wants to reconcile. But honestly, I don't feel angry. Not bitter, either. Just clear. So I answer, in my own way. When you're ready to meet Lily as she is, not as some extension of our family tree, not a secret to tuck away, but as the miracle she really is, we'll be here. The land stretches out in front of us, Virginia hills rolling into forever, the sun washing everything in gold. I catch a glimpse through the window, Thomas and Eleanor watching us, their faces soft and happy. I lean toward Julian and whisper, they showed me what family isn't. The Sterlings, they showed me what family could be. Blood doesn't make a family. Love does. He presses a kiss to my forehead, our daughter warm and safe between us. Love without conditions, he says. I nod. For the first time, I get it. This kind of love isn't something you earn. You just deserve it, all along.